Hello, I'm Nick. Welcome back to the channel. It's been 4 weeks since I've done a video after a lovely holiday in Guatemala. But today's video is about which marathon I'm gonna do when I do my sub-3 attempt in October 2024. So you may have seen this video, which was discussing my options, whether I wanted to do one at home or abroad, and so I've given it a lot of thought. Obviously I really whittled it down to two, between the Abingdon Marathon in Oxfordshire and the Stevenage Marathon in my hometown in Hertfordshire. And the reason for that was just thought I don't really want to have an extra stress of travelling in the lead up to a race, which is not something I've done before. So I thought for this year at least, let's do one which is close to home, and that's where I've landed. So Abingdon or Stevenage, as a reminder, Abingdon is definitely one of the flattest courses in the autumn or fall in the UK. Not completely flat, but largely so. And the big appeal is that 16% of runners this year who did it finished in under 3 hours. So that was 118 people out of about 770 finishers who all did it in under sub-3. So that really appeals, knowing there's going to be lots of other runners running that similar pace or quicker. The appeal for Stevenage is slightly different. As I say, it's my hometown, so I've got a connection there. It's run by the local running club that I'm a part of, Fairlands Valley Spartans, and I know all the people that will be marshalling on the day, many of them will be runners from the club or family and friends, and so that definitely will help on the way around, no doubt. No, seeing so many friendly and familiar faces. But which is, and this is something I said in my last video about the marathon, I've had a look at results from previous years. There's unlikely to be many people running a similar pace to me. There might be one or two, and sometimes one or two is enough, but you just can't really account for what happens in a marathon, and the smaller amount of people that you've got an opportunity to run with is definitely going to have an impact, I think, on my race. Stevenage Marathon only happens once every 10 years, so 2024 is the 5th Stevenage Marathon, I believe, and so it's a bit of a one-off opportunity to do that race. Race entries are now open for both the Stevenage Marathon and the Stevenage Half, and they've already had a good number of entries in, so I've been having a little peek at the participant start list, and there's some names in there that I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I could run with them, but I do know that, yeah, there's just not going to be as many people to run with in that race. So the race director Andy has kindly shared with me the proposed route for next year, which is top secret at the moment, but can reveal that actually, on the whole, it looks a decent route, in the sense of there's probably more downhills than up. There's probably one significant climb, but everything else is quite manageable. But it's by no means flat. It just isn't in Stevenage. You've got ups and downs of the underpasses, which will make up the route. So with that in mind, the marathon I'm going to be running, my first sub-3 hour attempt, is going to be Abingdon Marathon in Oxfordshire in October 2024. That is a head over heart decision, definitely, because I would have absolutely loved to do the Stevenage Marathon. As I say, it's once every decade, so my next opportunity is going to be 2034, but equally I massively respect the marathon distance. I'm going from a 3 hour, or just under 3 hour 22-minute marathon PB from Yorkshire last year to then try and take like 22 minutes plus off my time. Marathons are hard enough, you know. I need everything to be in my favour, I think, to try and get such a big PB. And the 2022 PB was already about 21 minutes quicker than I'd ever been before, so you know, I'm trying to take big chunks off my times, which based on some of my 5Ks and 10Ks and hopefully Cambridge half marathon in March will be, you know, it will be achievable. But I just have to be realistic and say I need to give myself every possible chance, and Abingdon is going to be that. So in the previous video about when I was talking about autumn marathons, I did mention a backup plan. So 6 weeks after both Abingdon and Stevenage and Amsterdam, which was another one which was in my thoughts, there is the Valencia marathon early December. But I've listened to people's advice and read up a bit more about kind of recovery between, you know, sort of 6 weeks between marathons, and I realised that really the first attempt is going to give me the best opportunity, because no matter how much I prioritise recovery in those weeks in between, I'm not going to be back to full strength if I give the first one a real go. So with that in mind, I'm not going to go for Valencia as a backup option, but I am looking at Seville or Sevilla in Spain, which is in February. I've actually looked and seen that you don't actually need to book even by now in December to get a place for the February, so I don't need to commit to that ahead of doing the first marathon in October. But it does just give me another option. Worst case scenario, I don't get it on my first attempt, which we have to be realistic is always a possibility. So that's the plan. Abingdon October, the option of Seville in February. Again, the temperatures look reasonable for that, not too hot, so something I would always be factoring in. So that's me. What I would say is, I say entries for the Stevenage Marathon, the Stevenage Half Marathon are now open, and if you're picking between the two and you're local to Hertfordshire in the UK, then please go for the Stevenage Marathon or Half Marathon rather than Abingdon, because it's a great community run. In the case of the marathon, it's a one-off, and you know, it's all raising money for charity as well, so it really is a good cause. So don't be like me basically and be thinking about the time so much, unless of course that is your goal. But that's the one I would recommend for the experience. Abingdon is the one I'm going for. I would just like to say a big thanks to everyone who's offered advice, posted comments on the video about which marathon I was going to choose. It's been really helpful, so thank you for that. And this is the last video I'm going to do before Christmas, so if you're watching this at this time of year, Merry Christmas, have a good one. So just before I finish, so I'm back in the UK after 2 brilliant weeks in Guatemala. Just out on an easy lunchtime run so I could film this while it's light. And I just want to say a massive shout out to Keith from my running club's Fens Valley Spartans, who has made this possible, because I had an SD card error while I was out in Guatemala, which meant that after the first few days I couldn't do any more filming. But thanks to Keith and some excellent software, we've managed to recover lots of the files that I filmed on my GoPro, so the train goes past. So I'm now in a position to start editing that footage and the rest of the footage I filmed on my phone of me running while on holiday in Guatemala, or hiking, as the case may be. So yeah, hoping to get that out in probably a week's time from now, so that'll be a proper lowdown on holiday running and an insight into the beautiful country of Guatemala. So until then, please subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, like the video if you've enjoyed it, follow me on Instagram and Strava, Energy Runs or Nick Gill, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. And if you enjoyed this video and are thinking about an autumn marathon yourself, then watch this one, which will give you some ideas of the fastest ones around if you're looking for that PB in your next marathon.